Well, good snowy Friday morning to you.
Yes.
But not much.
Welcome back.
I know, yeah. Not much. I was debating with Hope this morning on whether or not I should put up the welcome spring um, deal on our house yet.
Ah,
She
no, not yet.
she was pretty convinced that I should take down the Christmas stuff, but I don't know. There's still snow. So, um, hey, Bethany, Jim, good morning, you guys. Kim, everybody on. It's Friday. A little bit of snow. Have you
Yep.
looked at the forecast? You probably don't want to.
No, I
Okay.
did not. All I know is that right now there's not much snow, just a
Mhm.
little
Yeah.
dusting, but it is cold.
28 is what I saw.
Yeah,
And
a
they
little bit
said
of a breeze, so it's uncomfortable.
a little bit, man. I knew the wind was blowing without having to know because I could hear the flags flapping from the village office.
Okay.
That's
I guess I'm a little more sheltered where I live.
okay. Now windy and cold, a little bit of snow. I look at two different ones and they don't agree this time. So who knows what will happen. But NOAA, the National Weather Service, um, goes through next Tuesday or Tuesday night, Wednesday, I think. And there's a chance of snow all the way through. Now, at varying degrees, 20 to
All the way
60.
through Tuesday,
Wednesday,
Wednesday,
Thursday, maybe.
Thursday.
Let me look and see how far they go. There's a chance, but it drops significantly, like down to 20 by the end. I saw Jenny on. Good morning, Jenny. Uh, it's my first week back doing this kind of thing, so
Yeah,
I missed you. Glad to be back.
it is good to have you back.
I'm glad to be. I had a great time. Awesome sabbatical. Got to visit some churches and see a bunch of friends, and so yeah, through Thursday morning, Thursday during the day, 20% chance of snow for NOAA.
Okay.
That's not the same on Weather Underground.
What does Weather Underground say?
It depends
So is it worse?
depends on if it's been 3 or 5 minutes since you've checked it.
Oh.
They update. There's Weather Underground must be computer driven because there's updates like all the time. NOAA only does updates a couple of times a day, so it's meteorologists doing that one. Weather Underground says snow today, 32% chance, 24% chance tomorrow, 38% chance Sunday, 52% chance Monday, 20% chance Tuesday, and then it doesn't have any, 7% chance. So then it drops off from there. They don't.
Okay.
So it's whenever, I don't know how you guys determine, but whenever those two aren't in agreement, I'm like, okay, well then there's something else happening that it could change. It's hard to predict. When they both agree, then I'm like, okay, it's probably something's gonna happen. So
All right.
yeah.
So what's going to happen?
Well, there might be some clouds, there might be some wind, there could be some sun. There's a possibility of some snow and some possibility of some rain. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. There's a 50% chance of weather.
We might get some weather today.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I will plan accordingly.
Yeah. Well, you kind of have to around here,
Yeah.
jackets, and I had mine on earlier, but it got warm, so I took it off.
That's right.
Yeah. So gosh, coming back, we're gonna do reimagine is the theme for this year. So we're gonna get to that. But as I was thinking about that during sabbatical, I thought, before we get to so the reimagine is reimagining church in a new world. So Clacroft has changed the last several years, and I'm amazed. It's been fun talking with some people around town about that because they see that too. After the message Sunday, I met two different couples who are new. And one of them new in town 2 years ago. So they've been here for a couple of years, but I actually had run into them at the coffee shop. I just, when I see someone in a different place, I don't always make the connection. But the other ones are new here since like June or July.
Wow.
So it's still happening. New people coming in. Jim mentioned on Wednesday that part of it maybe too is I'm not as I was involved in the chamber and in clock and a whole bunch of other things, and so I'm not as connected in the community as I was, and so maybe I've kind of lost contact, and maybe that's why it seems to me there's so many new people. But it seems to me that there's a lot of new people. But before we get into that, that's them. Before we dive into who they are, what are they like, and what does it take to reach them, I thought it would be good to start with us. So start here.
Okay.
Is this little mini series within a series. And so, yeah, so some things that about us that we need to know are, do you remember what they were? There were four. Oh, Vicky jumped in. Vicky is actually in town for the VBS training. Yeah, she just likes driving. It's what, about 7 hours for you, Vicky? That's a long drive.
That's not one of the new people you met.
No. Vicky's been a close friend for I don't know how many years. Good grief. I have to be careful, and I don't mistakenly do this often because I'm of an age now. But to say longtime friends instead of old friends. Vicky is a longtime friend. You're a longtime friend. I do have some old friends, and some of them are longtime friends too. But
Nope, got it.
When people are my parents' age or old enough to be my parent, then I think maybe I can call them my older friends. So 7.5. Oh, 7.5 hours it takes.
That's not bad.
Weirdo. That's.
I just drove 10 hours a couple of days ago.
It could be worse.
Yeah.
It could be worse, but like we drove for the cruise, we drove to Galveston just straight, and then coming back, we came straight back.
How long of a drive is that? About 10?
Oh no, not for us. It takes us closer to 11 or 12.
But you stop a lot.
We stopped and had a sit down lunch, and longtime friend, thank you. We stopped and had a sit down lunch. I think maybe at Cracker Barrel somewhere, and then stop bathroom, get around, and Cynthia, I don't know, probably not many people know this. You might not want me to let people know, but Cynthia last year had a blood clot in her leg, so she had a stent put in, which caused a bunch of other problems that most people know about. But so we try to get around and walk, because long trips are not good for that kind of thing.
Sure.
So anyway, so that takes us about 11 or 12, to go. It probably didn't help that the hotel that we picked in Texas City, which is really right near Galveston, has two Buc-ee's within a 15-minute driving distance. And of course we had to hit them, hit one on the way in. And
sure it's not just the same Buc-ee's.
I mean, it's on different sides of the road. So I had to.
That never stopped Buc-ee's before.
When are you ever within 15 minutes of two Buc-ee's? I mean, that is unheard of. I'm still shocked that they have two of them that close together, but there's a couple of interstates that kind of go around there.
Nice.
So anyways, one of the things that I've been reminded of, I wanted to say learn, but surely I learned this long ago, is that no matter where you're going, you have to start where you are. And so as we no
matter where you go, there you are.
That's pretty much, and everybody's got to be somewhere sometime.
That's right.
Yeah. So we're just full of sayings today, aren't we? So I thought, let's start where we are. So let's start with us. And so with doing that, what we're going to do over the next several weeks, and then Easter is there too. So this isn't the message for Easter or for Good Friday, just so you know. Those are different. Those are replaced and redeemed, are the messages for Good Friday and Easter. So, but what we're going to do is talk about first who we are. We want to know. We want to know who's here. So, what demographics? What generations do we have? What is the demographic makeup of Cloudcroft now? And different than 20 years ago when I came, or even 5 years ago. But not just who's here, but who are they really? What are they like? And so we're going to start with that with us. So who we are, and that's really if you want to use a churchy or a leadership kind of term, that's our vision. Because sometimes it's not always who we are, but who we want to be.
That's right. Yeah, that's a good vision statement.
Yeah. So our vision statement really describes who we want to be or who we should be. Yeah. And here's if you guys, this is a fun study sometime, we won't do it in the devotion, but There's this odd thing in this part of where we are as Christians. The sanctification process is, on the one hand, we already are some things. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You have the mind of Christ, Paul says. We are seated in the heavenly places with God and the Father and the Son. So on the one hand, we already are some things. We are righteous before God. We do have the righteousness of Christ. I mean, so on the one hand, we already are, but then we know that we still live in this place where we struggle to be, right? Yep. God is still working in our hearts. He's still building into me the character of Christ. We still sin. We still choose to do things our way instead of God's way, right? Yep. So it's a weird struggle. Paul talks about it a whole lot. The Apostle Paul, not my friend Paul. The Apostle Paul talks about it a lot in Romans chapter 7. That whole, I don't do what I want to do, but I end up doing the things that I don't want to do. And, the
sounds like something I could have said.
I know the struggle that we live with. But so the vision statement, even though we're talking about it as who we are, it's really a who we should be, who we want to be, right? And in that one, we're talking about, I won't get into it too much, but that vision. So that's our vision statement. So we're going to dig into that Sunday. That's what we're talking about. I can go ahead and tell you what they are: Christ followers, committed family, and compassionate friends. So that's our vision statement. That's who we say we are. And are we that perfectly? Oh my goodness, no. You and I haven't really had a big fight. We should work something up someday. But if we do, we work it out, right?
I hope so.
Yeah,
I guess we'll find out when that happens.
We should. We've disagreed about things.
Oh yes.
And you just you work through it and go on. And
I
I did
tell you you're wrong, and we move on.
That's it. Yeah, and you have the right to be wrong. But on the essentials we agree, and that's good.
Yep.
I did make the switch over to just black coffee in the morning. Occasionally I have
been working on you.
Yeah, I know. So just drinking black coffee here. Oh, that's good stuff.
It is.
Yeah. So Christ followers first, committed family, that talks about who we are. So Christ followers, that's our relationship with God. Committed family, that's our relationship within the body of Christ. And then compassionate friends, that's our relationship to the community or unbelievers. So we'll dig into that on Sunday. What does that mean? The second thing that we'll talk about when we are talking about us is what we value. And this is something that we really haven't talked about a whole lot. And in that, it's going to be kind of like the who we are thing. When we say what we value, some of those we're going to have to say, okay, we say we value this, we need to start acting like it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So kind of like we do in our personal lives when we say time with God is a priority. We got to start acting like that. That has to start showing. So we're gonna. I mean, I should say this, but we're gonna feel uncomfortable as we go through this little mini series, because there are some things that we know that's what we should be, and we have to really make sure that that's where we are.
Yep.
So our values, that's what we value. The other thing we're going to talk about is what we do. That would be our mission.
Mm-hmm.
And we've talked about this a whole lot, to lead people into a life-changing relationship with Jesus. And so we're going to dig into that. And then finally, in the series, we'll talk about how do we do that? And that would be our strategy. Yep. So what do we do and how do we do it? So I'm looking forward to that. And the reason I wanted to kind of start with that this year is to give us a good foundation, a good basis, basically make sure we're all on the same page before we start digging into them, those in our community. Who are they and what are they like and what's it going to take to reach them?
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to do. And then, we're just going to go. I expect this year to be, I almost kind of pray that God will do this for us, that he makes us uncomfortable where we are to get us where he wants us to be.
That's usually the way it happens, isn't it?
And so I've been reading. I think I told them this on Wednesday. I say reading. A lot of it these days, I'm listening to books on Audible. 8 novels. That's an 8 novels over my sabbatical for fun. Those were all fun things. And then 5 leadership books or 5 Christian, church kind of books. In that 6 weeks.
Well, that's impressive.
Well, when you're driving, when it takes you 12 hours to get to Galveston and 12 hours to get back, and then you've got time on the cruise that we made to do that, and then flights to Myrtle Beach, and then the last 2 weeks, 4 hours to the lodge that I was at, and so don't be too impressed. I had a lot of time that I could listen, but it's been really cool. I love to read, and I know it sounds funny, but it would sound weirder to say I love to listen, but I love to read books. So it was really good to kind of get back into that, and I want to keep that into the routine that I have now. We can get ourselves out of the comfort zone or get thrown out of it. Better to be intentional. Yeah. And a lot of the books that the church books, leadership books that I've been listening to, reading, have been on transition and change, because that's where we are, where we need to be as a church. And someone else may have said this. I don't think it's original with me, but change is like surgery. Minor changes are the ones you make. Minor surgery is the one you have. When I have to make the change, that's a major change, or that's kind of the way we feel. And then the other way that I've heard it is, we usually don't change until the pain of not changing is worse than the pain of changing.
I've heard that before.
Yeah.
I think I've lived that one before.
Yeah, I've lived that out too. I've also heard that's a good rule of thumb with surgery. Don't have the knee replacement surgery till the pain of not having it is worse than the pain of having it. So that's I'm excited. I wanted to be careful coming in, because I don't want to come in and scare everybody, but I'm excited about what God's going to do this year in the life of our church. It means that we're probably going to have some bumps along the way.
Well, as long as those bumps are along the right path.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because and I realize too, a lot of this things about change is, you ever play crack the whip as a kid? You know what that is? So if we get in a long line, I'm holding your hand, I'm the leader, and we have 20 people behind us, and I just start going around, but we're all holding hands, and I go around and turn and zig and zag.
You try to get the last guy to fall off.
Well, for you and me, those aren't huge. For one thing, I know when I'm turning right or when I'm turning left. You're at the beginning of the line, so you see that much quicker. All of that stuff that we do at the beginning is greatly exaggerated at the end.
Right.
The guy at the end has to try not to get flung off of the whip, and so that's kind of the way change is when it involves a lot of people in an organization or a church. And so we want to be really careful about those kind and communicate and all those kind of things. But you ever go on a trip and it was absolutely stress-free?
Very seldom.
Yeah. Me too. Even if my biggest stress is, I hope I get everything packed that I need. Yeah. So, or I hope if I miss something, it's something I can buy when I get there without going broke. So that's kind of where we are. That's kind of where I see us going this year. We're going to go on a journey together, and want to make sure we do that well. But you can't go somewhere and stay where you are.
True words were never spoken. I'll tell you.
Well, I've done all the talking. Sorry. Next week I'll throw you a hard ball and let you.
No, that's great.
Let you tell us how we do this in
I didn't have
practical
anything
ways.
to say anyway.
Yeah. Well, I tried to my first couple of weeks back, just kind of keep it chill. And this is so Monday will be the second week I've been back.
Well, it is great to have you back.
I'm glad to be home. got to visit some good churches, got to do a lot of fun stuff, but there's really no place like home. I love this church family. This is
Yeah. Well, I'm excited for what's coming ahead too.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and then I hear a lot of people say, well, so what kind of changes? What are you talking about? And I'll tell you, in all honesty, I don't know. I mean, yeah, that's something that I want us to discover together. I have some ideas, but on just practical things that we, have a door that's not latching. We probably ought to make sure that latches. That that kind of thing. But as far as big picture stuff, I have some ideas, but I want us to come to those conclusions together.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I can, just like I said, just based on demographics across our nation, my guess would be, unless we're different than the rest of the nation, that the largest population group in Cloudcroft will be the millennials. That's my suspicion, but I could be wrong. It might be those crazy Gen Xer people.
They are crazy, aren't they?
The ones that they tried calling us the Busters. Do you remember that? They had the Boomers right before us, and then the Busters.
I don't know. I might have been out of town that week.
Okay, yeah, they tried calling us that, and then they just lumped us in the Gen X. We were the latchkey generation.
I thought we were the coffee achievers.
We should be now.
Yeah.
We should be now. So, well, thanks for hopping in, guys.
Yeah.
We'll give you a more chance next week to chime in. We'll throw you some questions.
Yeah, but think about that. Think about our mission and our vision. You know, what we're doing and
how we do it and who
where,
we are.
Where we're gonna go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What do we think our end state ought to be?
I will say this, in this day and age and in the time that we're living in, if you're not moving, you're getting left behind.
Yeah.
And that's hard. And I said this, I think at the end of the year, as we're looking ahead to this, our goal used to be, I mean, even in the Metroplex, the larger church that I was out there, our goal there was to keep up.
Yeah.
That's no longer an option. Now we need to be able to look ahead.
Yeah.
And I tell you, that's hard. Everything has increased exponentially. The rate of change has increased exponentially.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, if you're not moving, not only are you liable to be left behind, but you might turn into one of those speed bumps we were talking about.
Yeah.
People are going to be going right over you.
We don't want to do that.
No.
Yeah. That's hard. So I just throw this is just a technological thing that isn't even the technology of tomorrow. It's already being implemented, and it's gonna, you're not gonna believe me. You're gonna have to look it up. They are already implanting this. I'm not a paranoid schizophrenic. I heard this from a paranoid schizophrenic when I was, my minor was psychology, and I was at a doing observation at a state mental institute. I have to qualify that. I wasn't a patient. I was observing with a group of classmates. And I heard this from a paranoid schizophrenic. Because he says, they're listening to us. And I said, I bet they are. I bet they're watching too. I said, where are the microphones? He goes, they put them in here. I'm like, okay. So, and I forget which one it is, Elon Musk or one of those trendy guys, are implanting electrodes, for lack of a better word. I'm sure there's a better word for it, in people's brains with spinal injuries, that connect wirelessly to computers, so that it actually is enabling them to walk. Now, I don't understand, and there's a word for it, and I forget what it is. Someone told me this, and I had to look it up because I didn't believe it. It's legit. There are human trials that this is happening right now.
Wow. And
it's a two-way communication that happens that way.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that's not even so much the technology of tomorrow. They're doing it in human trials already.
Wow.
Crazy, huh?
Yeah.
So just like we would have thought it was absurd to be able to talk to someone on the telephone using our watch. Somebody did that. You remember who it was?
Dick Tracy.
But it was a radio for him.
two-way wrist
As
radio.
crazy as that sounded to us as kids, we have that now.
Yeah.
Even better than what Dick Tracy had.
Yeah.
The watch wise, he had some cooler stuff than we did. But that sounds so crazy to me that they can implant things in your brain that can now enable you to communicate with computers. That's going to be a thing. Imagine someday that, and who would have thought it was only on Star Trek where you could talk to a computer and it would do things, right? We have that right here. So that's happening. So anyways, that's just to say, just with technology, things are changing at such an astounding rate. It's hard to keep up, but not so much with technology. We need to try to keep up with that too. But with people, it's changing so quickly. We can't just strive to keep up. We need to be able to look ahead a little.
Sounds like an exciting time ahead of us.
Yes. So it'll be fun. And some of you are like, I feel that pain every day with my computer and phone and sometimes even cars. My father-in-law got a new car and he's still trying to figure out how to work it. How do I update the GPS on my car? How do I update the maps? And it's less than a year old and he's already having to worry about that.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes.
So let me pray for you guys. Don't plan any outside work unless it's shoveling snow. But if you have the opportunity, because I know you like to do that. You like doing stuff outside a lot.
I have a greenhouse now. I can go in that.
Is it got done? I haven't seen the finished. I've been gone a little bit.
Yep. Just got to put up some lights.
Yeah. Just go sit out there when it's 10 degrees outside and you're nice and toasty in the greenhouse.
That's right.
Like a sauna.
Yep.
If I drive by and see you in your Bahama shirt, that's
what I've been doing. Hanging out of my greenhouse.
Yeah. Sitting there sipping a mango smoothie. Is that?
I'll probably be drinking coffee.
Yeah, that's right. Not iced coffee because you don't do that.
No.
Yeah. All right. Well, let me pray for you guys. Send you out into the weekend. Lord, we thank you that in the midst of what oftentimes looks like a crazy, weird, wild world that we live in, that you've chosen to use us to be able to bring the gospel to a lost and dying world. And God, I pray that you would use us well, that you would change in us whatever needs to be changed, that you would make us into the image of Jesus. And God, help us to love one another well. God, help us to have the courage, first of all, the wisdom to know what to do, and then the courage and the boldness to do it. We pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Good to see you guys. Have a great weekend. I didn't drink much of I still have coffee left over. I know.
So do
Not
I.
for long. It's good to see you guys. Thanks for hopping in, and we'll see you hopefully Sunday.
Yes.
But at least I won't see you on Monday. Hoping Hillary will be doing Monday, but I'll see you back here on Wednesday. I got to get to the right stuff. I'm way out of practice.
All right.
Well,
thanks for joining.